Hi folks, it's, what are we on? We're on Wednesday, July 16th, I believe. Wednesday, July 16th? April 16th. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm thinking of getting back to work. Now before and this is Nesbitt's Island Coffee at 1995 Island Highway, Campbell River. Again, a nice sunny day today. And before I sort of get on with what we want to chat about today, I want to just really emphasize I have posted a link to Dr. John Campbell in the comment section of this, because sometimes people think I don't take this virus serious, but I do. I probably understand more than a lot of people how deadly this can be to certain people. So this some great statistics that Dr. Campbell is releasing. And from reputable sources. It's not sort of innuendo and sort of gossip. So you might find those interesting, and I think they could be really valuable and important for people close to you, or maybe you yourself. So do visit him. It's good to watch his whole presentation, although he gives you some stats right at the beginning if you don't have the patience to do that over time. But I think we all have sort of time right now because we're still in the lockdown. And I'm not sure if you've read the book 1984 by George Orwell. There's another book called This Perfect Day. These are two interesting books, and if you do read, and if you have some time in your self-isolation, they're good books to read or maybe sort of browse again if you've read them in the past. And as you read those books, it sort of gets really interesting because you could say that book is written about where we are right now, in a sense. And of course, if you've read those two books, if you're familiar with the Tavistock Institute, if you're familiar with the UN Agenda 21 or the UN Agenda 2030, and these aren't just words I'm picking out. And a lot of people, maybe you're one of them, has a conspiracy theory already up. Now, these are available. You can download you can download these documents. It's when you look at what some people are planning or want to do, and you look at where we are now, I mean, it sort of gets concerning for me. Now, Trudeau is a funny leader sort of thing, or a funny not a leader. He has said in his information today, reiterated that we won't completely return to normal, or whatever normal is. That won't be possible until a vaccine is ready. And when I think about that, and I think about the other people pushing for a vaccine, Bill Gates, the Clinton Foundation, the World Health Organization, and you peel the onion back, if you have the time and you start researching, it's all available. Sometimes you got to dig hard because a lot of the people who present information get kicked off of the internet for telling the truth, so to speak, or opening up a window so people can make up their own minds. So this vaccine idea, like you say, it's the people who are pushing for a vaccine idea, for instance, like Bill Gates is he's really going strong after that. He also is a big investor in Monsanto. And Monsanto has been folded into the wings of Bayer because there's so many lawsuits out about Monsanto, and they have lost many just because of the illness they've caused. And you know what Roundup is, so that that was one of their pet projects. And the thing with Bill Gates and the people pushing for this vaccine, they're also pretending, or they're saying, maybe they're not pretending, maybe they just think that way. That they're really concerned about humanity and human health sort of thing. And when you think of Monsanto and their GMO food, how they just really got a monopoly on food, And most of us know that we try not to eat that crap. And for some folks, it's impossible. If you live in a big city and, I mean, you don't have access to a lot of natural food. But I keep thinking every time I think of Monsanto and GMO food and their whole philosophy behind it, feed the world, make it easier and better for people. You know, I doubt if any one of those people eat this crap themselves. And a good way to sort of look at that is if you go to the royal family in Britain and look at, there's all sorts of information of the type of food they eat, because they all live to a pretty, like the Queen and Prince Philip, they're at a pretty good age and they're still sort of the Queen is still trucking along. And when you look at when you talk to look at the dossier of their food, they eat the Queen eats a lot of fish, but it's from her own lakes and on her own streams on her own property. Eats a lot of vegetables and fruits and that, but from her own gardens, you know. They're not going down to the superstore to go buy GMO food for themselves. They're growing their own and are looking after themselves. So most people who profess to be looking after, wanting to make sure everybody's healthy, it's do as I say, not what I do, sort of thing. Like Trudeau going to the lake. I am amazed. Let's get back to Trudeau. He says, as time goes on, he said this morning, as time goes on, staying home and not seeing his friends is going to be even more difficult, he said. We have to be disciplined. We're all in this together. Stay home, wash your hands, blah, 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 blah. And I'm always amused that nobody asked him, well, can I go to the lake? Because that's what he did at Easter. You know, he didn't stay home. He went to the lake. His compatriot flew from Regina to Ottawa with his 5 kids and his wife and a couple of other people. So it always makes you smile when you see people telling us what to do and they're doing the opposite. It's just an interesting time we live in. But again, when I go back to this perfect day, 1984, the Tavistock Institute, Agenda 21, UN Agenda 2030, it makes me a bit alarmed. The thing that gives me some confidence, I see our people in Michigan are anxious to get back to work and are starting to protest. They want to get back to work. See, some folks are content just to sort of collect their money that Canada is sending, the $2,000, and sit on their butts and stay home and enjoy the weather. But some people want to go and do something. They have a bigger agenda than staying home, collecting their money and doing nothing. They realize that they have some missions and purpose in their lives and they want to carry on with it. And I'm waiting to see what Trump is going to release today. His plan to get America rolling again. Trudeau, well, he's waiting for a vaccine. You know where his head's at. He's got about as much. Well, he did say we got to do more testing and whatever. But what they've been saying that for a couple of months now. And in Canada, we tested 467,000 people and change. And that runs into about 79 per million, 80 per million. So we really haven't even scratched the surface. It's good to say that, but when you put it in perspective, how much testing are we really doing? And I think that is the way we're going to get back to work. Now, statistics tell us 80% of the population who get this are not going to be in dire straits. You're going to be sick. Don't get me wrong, but and we're not sure if there's any ramifications that carry on with the body after you've had it, no matter how sick you get. Nobody knows that yet because it's a pretty new virus. But if 80% of the people who get it go back to work, if we knew who those people are, we're set to go. And of course, the other 20%, we want to protect those people. And the government always says, yeah, protect the vulnerable. And again, it's do as I say, not what I do. You look at what they do, all of our leaders do with the senior care homes, and all you can do is give you a head shake. And it's not just that it's just happening now, it's been that way for a long time. You know, I have talked to people who have family in those care homes, and some of them aren't looked after all that well. And when they do complain, you know, they get in trouble for sort of bringing it up, and everything gets swept under the rug. So this idea of not protecting vulnerable people isn't new. It's been there a long time. And as Trudeau said, as he finishes off his speech, or partway through his speech, I'm going to read this because I want to get it right. Over the past few weeks, we've all had to get used to this new normal, he said. It's been snowing in some places this week, including here in Ottawa, because that's just what 2020 brings. What the hell is he talking about? I just don't understand this guy. Yeah. Because that's just what 2020 brings. Does he know something we don't know? Or is he just off one of his goofy things again? But I'd like to sit down with the coffee with the guy where no one else is listening, so we're not going to embarrass anybody or have anybody start trumping and trying to be a big shot. And just say, why don't we really get serious with testing? Why don't we really get serious with what you talk about? Because if you're going to wait for a vaccine, and some people say it could be next year, you can't shut the economy down that long. Now maybe you don't understand money, but I think he does. Because a while back they were going to tax small businesses extra, and then we found out that him and Morneau had some investments in France, and they were invested in tax-free. Trudeau had some stuff in tax-free havens. When they start pushing that, he canceled the extra tax in small business. So maybe they do understand money, but they understand their money, but not ours. Now it's easy to be a big shot when you're spending tax money and other people's money, and you don't go broke because you did that. So I don't see how we can keep the economy shut down till next year and expect to get back to anything that you would call normal. It's an interesting dilemma we're in. But not everybody is talking about that. And obviously everybody is scared, everybody's concerned, everybody's staying home. Well, most people. We're being happy slaves. We're doing what people tell us to do without questioning it, without saying, what is your plan? How do we get going? And I figured out this morning listening to Trudeau, maybe that's why a lot of people don't like President Trump. A lot of people don't like Boris Johnson. Because when you ask them a question, they give you an answer. They don't beat around the bush for half an hour telling you this, that, and other things. It's snowing in Ottawa because that's what 2020 is an answer for something. And when you get an answer, you're either going to sort of like it or not like it, agree with it or not agree with it. And so you've got something to push back at and argue with somebody. But when you don't get an answer, you're just walking around in circles in the snowflakes in Ottawa with them. You don't know what the hell's going on. That's about all for today. Do watch Dr. Campbell's link, because it could save somebody's life. Take care. Bye for now. See you tomorrow.